Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Burch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hello, my name is Dr. Emily Williams Burch, and I'm really excited that you're listening to this special TCA D.A.R.E bonus series on the Music Ed Matters podcast. Today, you're going to hear from two of the co-founders of TCA. TCA stands for True Change Alliance. Ajori B Spencer and Justin Stevens are co-founders. Justin serves as the Director of Program Development, and Ajori is the Director of Coaching. They'll tell you what that means in our show today, but they'll also unpack the D in the acronym D.A.R.E, along with offering you tons of tips for motivating, inspiring others, working through mental health, and so much more. Y'all, this conversation was like therapy. I hope that you get ideas. I hope that you feel inspired. I hope that you feel praised and supported. And I'm really thankful that you're listening. Welcome to the show. Welcome to one of our True Change Alliance bonus episodes. This is the second installment. It is bonus episode 13, and today we're talking to two of the co-founders of True Change Alliance, Justin Stevens and Ajori Spencer. Hello!
Hey, how's it going?
I'm so glad you guys are here. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Likewise. This is the best part of my day for sure.
You are awesome. Okay, tell us. You'll have to make sure that the listener knows who's talking. So introduce yourself so they know what your voice sounds like. And then tell us, what is your role with True Change Alliance?
So I'm Ajori Spencer. So when you hear this resonant voice, this is me. I am a co-founder and the Director of Coaching for TCA.
What does that mean, Director of Coaching? Sorry, Justin, give me 1 second. What does that mean, Director of Coaching?
So, as we go through the particular trainings that we offer, and as we expand our team, I'm just sort of ensuring that all of our trainings are aligned and all of the particular facilitation happens at our standard. Yeah.
I love that. So you already have quality control in place, so you are set to grow successfully. That's awesome.
Gotta start that from the beginning.
Yes, good infrastructure. All right, Justin, tell us about what you do.
So I'm Justin Stevens. When you hear this not as resonant voice, you will know that this is Justin. And
I love it.
I am one of the co-founders and also the Director of Program Development at True Change Alliance. So my role is heavy into research about current trends in the workforce and the community regarding diversity and inclusion efforts. And putting most of our programming together, the trainings and the things that go along with it.
What type of things are you researching? What articles, what journals? Where do you find your research?
So many places. So social media, we were just talking about social media before we got on here, right? And though it has its cons, it also has so many pros. People are putting so much news on there all the time. Of course, you got to fact check because, with the internet, anybody can put anything up there. But social media has so many of the social trends that are going on that we need to stay up to date with if we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of the ball. I've also been doing a lot of reading by some great DEI officers. LinkedIn is also a great resource because, we're trying to make sure that we can make these workplaces welcoming and have a culture of belonging for everybody. So LinkedIn, a place where a lot of people are going to, voice their best practices and also their concerns, looking for answers. So I'm always on LinkedIn reading what other people are having to say and giving my advice as well.
Beautiful. And that works so well as the great team. And everyone met Marshawn on an earlier episode. So that's the third co-founder in the team. We call this the D.A.R.E series. And the D stands for decide. I know that the rest of the acronym is part of one of your coaching. So if you're interested in learning more about that, they can check out your website. But can we unpack what it means to decide to make a change?
Sure. So I think we kind of touched on this in our introductory episode, right? When we talked about the things that you were thinking about doing with your choir, whether that be changing some of the structure of it or changing the names of it. And that all fits into this first step of true change, which is deciding that you want to make that true change and then just doing it. Um, and I want to emphasize that it's not as simple as flipping a switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. So you've got a lot of knowledge that needs to be obtained. We've got to put a lot of groundwork in place so that when we get ready to take that first step of true change, the foundation is laid.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's something that we've talked a lot about in our choir organization, my community choir. We have 4 choirs and they're labeled by who's in them: Rise Kids, Rise Gals, Rise Guys, and Rise Adults, because we're building. We're a very young organization. We're not yet a household name in our community. And where we are in southern Georgia, it needs to be something that is comfortable and familiar to attract the people into the ensembles. We're still building just enough people to sustain having a choir. But
Exactly.
in our long-term plan, we fully anticipate having name changes to accommodate all different types of people. But right now, as we're building that awareness, I'm so glad you said that. The infrastructure has to be there, just like Ajori's role. The infrastructure has to be there before you can really make that change. But that doesn't mean we haven't decided to make the change. We still have those great conversations and such a beautiful community where we can have the space for singers who want to explore, to choose different ensembles to fit their personal identification and their sounds and what they want to sing. So that's awesome. So deciding to make a change, that's the first part of our D.A.R.E acronym for the D.A.R.E series. Let's talk a little bit about each of your individual areas of expertise. Justin, I'm picking on you a little bit more. You just did a really cool presentation at a summit called Life is Hard. And I'm feeling
Yes.
that right now. Can you tell me what you shared? Give us some takeaways from this Life is Hard presentation.
Sure. So Life is Hard is a 90-minute workshop where we talk about just that, how difficult life is. So it's taken in 3 parts. The first part is Life is Hard and You're Not Alone. In that section, we talk about the commonness of mental health. So many people are going through so many different things and nobody talks about it. So during Life is Hard and You're Not Alone, that's exactly what we do. We talk about how common this is. We also talk about even though it's so common, so many people are not getting the treatment that they need. So we talk about why that is, some of the barriers that might be present for people getting the treatment that they need. During the second part of the workshop, Life is Hard and It Gets Better, we start off by talking about the times when it doesn't, in fact, get better, because those are important conversations as well. So we have a conversation about risk factors and warning signs for suicide and depression. And then we talk about resources that are available in the community and with your employer. The final section of the workshop is called Life is Hard and That's Okay. And that's pretty much the message of the workshop, that, yeah, life is hard. We have our ups, we have our downs for sure, but it's okay. And let's talk about it and share those, commonalities and work through them together. So during the last section of the workshop, I spend a good portion of time talking about my journey with mental health and kind of how I got through it. But a really big takeaway of it is still going through it, right? Mental health is a continuous journey. And yes, I, at one point in my life, made the decision that I wanted to change. So I started doing the things that I needed to do in order to make that change. But just like true change, it is continuous and it's something that we've got to work at every day.
That is so awesome. And what I hear you saying in those 3 parts of the training, of the presentation, of the workshop. So the first thing is having the space to talk about it. So it's great in choir world. We have songs where we can pick intentional lyrics or intentional composers or lyricists that help us unpack those conversations. We can build the community and the vulnerability to share that we're going through things. Resources. Where do we go to find the resources? I know schools have resources. What about in the community? Where would I start to find resources for my community choir members?
In regards to mental health,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of nonprofit organizations and communities that are offering mental health services. I believe you can go to 211.com. I'll get you the resource and send it over to you, but they will
Fabulous.
be able to like provide you with mental health resources that are available in the community, some that are free and some that are, not free. But there are so many grant programs available in the community where you can get, even if you don't have insurance or don't have any means to pay for mental health services, you can get them at a sliding fee scale rate. So many options available.
I love that. And I love that you're not just giving us the resource, but also one of my biggest fears is what happens if a family can't afford it or something. But if there are sliding scales, it's like the college application. We help all of our high school singers through the college application because so many of them are first generation applicants.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unlike just helping your families, your singers through those applications for grants. So there are resources, and yes, life is hard, but it can get better. And if it doesn't, it's a process. It's such a great connection back to y'all's 4 principles, which I have talked about nonstop. So I don't always get them perfect with the right words, but I get the gist of them. Ajori, do you want to tell us one more time for anyone who missed, what are the 4 principles of true change?
Excellent question. So, we talk about true change being continuous. I'm not going to necessarily go in order, but true change is continuous. And I actually want to spend quite a bit of time on that one because that ties perfectly into some of the things that Justin was talking about. Justin and I have had a lot of conversations in the past about the idea that when we are dealing with young students or young people, we build so many steps for them and we celebrate every single step. When they, when they crawl for the first time, we celebrate it. When they stand up for a split second and then immediately fall, we celebrate it because they stood. When they make that first step and then fall, we still celebrate it. Every little step, we celebrate and we recognize. And then as people get older, we do that less. And they get a little older and we do it less. And then the dreaded statement, oh, that's what they should be doing. Why would I reward that? And we get to that point early and earlier, it seems, where we no longer recognize things as continuous. And that's why that particular guiding principle is so important to me, because as we look at organizations, you're going to have to celebrate every little step, even if you fall. And you're going to have to celebrate the crawl because, depending on where you're starting, you might start out crawling. And as an organization, you might be dragging some people along with you while you crawl, which is my area. Right. That's why I'm there to coach you. I'm there to help you through that. But that's okay. If we look at our, organization climate, whether it be a choir or a business, and we're like, okay, we're on the ground. We are, we barely see the finish line. Then that's where we are, and let us start that process and then continue and celebrate every step of the way.
This is already such tangible. Sorry, this is so tangible and so related to what your research areas are. Developing leaders capable of dismantling barriers. I love that. Dismantling the barriers to organizational change. And there's a fantastic tool right there. It has to be continuous, and we have to celebrate it.
Right. And I know that's something Justin's very passionate about. Like, let's continue scaffolding. We talk about that in the classroom. We scaffold, and then we feel like we don't have to do that for adults, but adults are still people. The kids were people, the students were people, the adults are still people. Those great things are still great things. And, I think if we take a lot of the tools that we use in the classroom or we use in the music classroom and we apply them to other aspects of life probably wouldn't be so hard.
That was a good connection. Justin, I feel like you want to add to this.
No, I, as Ajori said, I'm very passionate about this. I think praise is so important and we don't do enough of it. And I have so many conversations with people about this. And like he says, we get to this point where we say, well, that's what they should be doing. That's what I expect them to do. And I understand that mentality, but it doesn't make sense because what we know about behavior is that if we don't praise it or don't reward it after time, it goes through a process called extinction, and that behavior ceases to exist. So we've got to continue praising it, even if that's what we expect.
I love that, because sometimes people, like, I love to, my love language is encouraging. I love encouraging people, the words of affirmation. I love giving words of affirmation. And I will tell you, I love things a lot because I really do. And that's my way of, yay, cheerleading for you. And if you don't know me personally, that could be like, why is that chick so crazy excited all the time? But I'm just really excited that you're doing what you're passionate about, that you're passionate about praise and continuously striving for things, and Joy, that you're passionate about equipping your team to make changes. So can we go back to that little tiny comment you made about how sometimes we're crawling and dragging people along? What if someone listening right now is ready to decide to make a change, whether in their classroom or in their organization or at their workplace? What are some steps that they can do individually if they are trying to get more people to start crawling with them?
The first thing I would say is, once you've sort of surveyed your environment and you have an idea of what you're dealing with, find the daring one. And it might only be one, and that's okay. Find that daring one who will start to invest in change and share their successes. So maybe, because that one knows other people, and they can bring along another one or two. I think sometimes when we try to make changes, we either try to do it from the top down, where we come in and we're like, I am the leader, I am the teacher of this group, or I am the leader of this ensemble, and I hereby decree that we will think this way. And research and common sense shows us that doesn't work. No, because no one feels comfortable always being told what to do, especially when it involves thinking. You might be able to tell me what to do, but you can't tell me how to think. That's a culture change,
Yes.
and that's an experience that's needed. So I would say that first step is finding that daring one who will be like, I don't know, but I'll crawl with you. I'll crawl with you for a little bit, and let's see where we go. And once people start seeing that progress, like, ooh, they're ahead a little bit, then you might have to look back and have that daring one say, come join us. And it's okay that people are in different places. Everyone's not going to arrive at the same time, which sort of goes back to that sort of celebrating where people are. But as one person moves up a little bit, and they're like, okay, everything's fine up here, I tried something new, I thought a little bit differently, and I'm okay. Then more people come along, because change is also scary, and that's not a guiding principle because it doesn't look good on a business card, but but true change is scary.
True change is scary. It's continuous, it's necessary, it's sincere, and
it's uncomfortable, which I guess goes with
it's
scary,
uncomfortable.
but uncomfortable sounds better.
Scary is the pop culture term for uncomfortable. How's that?
Right, and it is scary, which is why I say start with one. You can't change everything overnight. And I love what you said earlier about knowing your surroundings and knowing your community, because that's going to inform how you change and how quickly you change. I've had a lot of conversations recently, even with picking guest speakers or picking trainers to come in, where the conversation might be, oh my gosh, this person is great, and they would say great things to our team, but are people ready? And
Right.
if people aren't ready, who are the speakers, or what are the steps that I need to take to get them ready for this person who is great and would say amazing things, but they're going to ask them to run and we're crawling.
Right.
So
who are some,
who are some people who can come and help us crawl a little bit? And then, we see that speaker over there at the finish line. We're going to get to them. We're going to get to her, but we're not there yet. Our community is not quite there yet. And that's okay.
I feel you. Yes, it is okay. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop making that decision, or that we have to stop trying to inspire and motivate and be there for the people who are ready to start crawling with us. This is great. I'm feeling super inspired. Y'all are incredible. Before we ask the final question, is there anything else from your research or any tips you want to give us in regards to inspiration, motivation, mental health, getting through hard life? Anything you want to say before the final question?
Yeah, I'll say this is gonna sound really cliche, but I'm gonna put some other words behind it, so hopefully it won't sound as cliche.
You do it.
Um, but you gotta just keep going. And that's so easier said than done. Trust me, I know from personal experience, but you have got to keep going. And one of the things that keeps me going, and this is something that I just actually realized recently about myself. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and thinking about how hard life has gotten at some points, and kind of looking back at those things and learning from them. And what I've learned about myself now is that it's not about me.
Mm.
And I want to make it easier for whoever's coming next. So yes, this true change is continuous, like we've been saying this entire time. And it's going to take some time. It's not just going to happen overnight. And to be quite honest, some of these changes, they're going to take years, some of them, because these systems have been in place for years, for decades, for centuries. So it's going to take some time. But if we are able to just move the needle a little bit in the right direction,
Yes.
then I know we've done a good job.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I really love seeing, like, looking out in the faces of the young choir members and knowing that every little tiny baby step, forward and backwards, that we take, they're that much further ahead to move that needle. That is definitely motivation and not too cliche at all. Just keep going. Just keep going. Ajori, is
And
there anything else you want to add?
yeah, like what that reminds me of, we said that true change is uncomfortable or scary, but what Justin laid the foundation for is we can make it a little bit less uncomfortable for the next group, and they'll make it a little bit less uncomfortable. And I think, we have to be really careful that we never enter territory where we're like, here's how things were for me, and so I'm going to recreate that experience for
Mm,
someone else. If that experience that you have wasn't a great experience, why would you recreate it for someone else? Why would we
right.
not work to never have, those experiences that made life hard for us happen for someone else?
Mm-hmm.
So, true change can continuously get less uncomfortable,
Less scary.
if we do the work.
Yes, but we have to start with crawling. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this has been the best therapy session. I feel so excited. Hopefully I can fall asleep tonight. I'm going to be like spinning a million minutes. Okay, we have this new final question just for the D.A.R.E series. We always ask the guest at the end of the show what's one thing you want the listener to remember. But in this case, we're tapping into the TCA slogan D.A.R.E to be the change, where the D stands for decide, to make a change. When did each of you decide? When was your deciding point? When did you decide to make a change in life or in work or some other area?
I'll start. I'd like to say, so like as I mentioned earlier, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and thinking about I'm getting old. So I have been down this journey for quite some time, I'd say. But I'd say 2020 really pushed me. 2020 really pushed me because it allowed me the time to sit by myself and think about the things that were going on and what I liked about them and what I didn't like about them. And I feel like for a while, for the longest time, I was waiting for the change to happen.
Mm,
And in 2020, I decided I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to make the change happen for myself. And that's what we're doing.
that's awesome. That is so cool. Ajori, what about you?
I
Thank you
love
for
that. I
sharing,
don't even want to
Justin.
speak now. I feel like that was just a button. I don't.
It was beautiful.
But it really was. I remember for me, I'm trying to remember how many years ago. Let's go with 2 or 3. I'm also getting old, so it all sort of just blends together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in this leadership training, and I really wish I could remember exactly what someone said, but it sort of sparked something. She was talking about a friend who finished a degree program and was struggling to find a job in the field that she wanted to go in. And she was saying that she helped her friend by helping her realize she hadn't made decisions about what impact she wanted to have. And so she's going to interviews but she's going to interviews without vision.
Mm.
And so she's working toward nothing. Not intentionally, but she's working toward nothing. And I remember when the trainer said that, I was like, wow, I have all these ideas and I have these goals, and I'm working, and I'm always working, and I'm always working. But what am I working toward? Like, what's the goal? And I think that was a moment for me where I made the decision that doing work like this, training people, opening them up to new ideas or new thoughts or new strategies was really what I wanted to do. And that's when I decided.
You make the decision. We start by crawling, scaffold, praise people, decide to make that change. Y'all, this is so much fun. I'm really thankful for our partnership, and it is a joy to talk to y'all every time.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Y'all, you can do this. Decide to make whatever change you need in your community, for your people, for your space. You can do it. Start with crawling. We will cheer you on and praise you all along the way. Go check out True Change Alliance and see all of their amazing coaching opportunities, especially that D.A.R.E coaching. We know that the D stands for decide, and you've listened to this episode, so you're one step in the right direction. No matter where you are, crawling, walking, running, I can't wait to hear what you're doing. Keep us posted. Reach out to us at emilyburch.org/contact. Join the conversation over at patreon.com/musicedmatters. And thank you so much for listening. We all know that the work True Change Alliance is doing really matters. And you matter. Music matters, and I'll see you next time on the Music Ed Matters podcast, special TCA D.A.R.E bonus series edition.